Good morning, everybody. Good to see you here. We are at the conference that is about disrupting the future. Disruption is interesting, of course. We are a financial technology company, and our aim is to not only disrupt existing financial industries, but we will make them obsolete. We will change things, and that's why we're here today. A lot of you here are hoping to find the next unicorn, but we are aiming to become a rhino wolf. And that is a funny word that my sister made up. She used to scare me about the rhino wolf, but she told me that they eat unicorns. So as a financial services company, we actually have the focus on leveling the playing field and introducing fair play, because we think there's a lack of it in many ways. And how we do that is that we help businesses to settle their invoices without making payments. So I'm Richard Johnsson. I'm the founder and CEO of Clearitt, and I will walk you through quickly here what I mean by everything I've said so far. So imagine you can settle your invoices with clearing instead of with cash payments. How do we do this? Well, here's an example on the screen. I don't know if you actually can see it, but let's say these are three companies and they owe each other money. Let's say there are three, there could be 30, could be 300 or 3,000 companies, but they owe each other money, suppliers and customers. And in this little example, to settle their invoices, they would have to pay over $100,000. And they have to sit and wait to get paid before they can pay their own bills. But they're all in the same boat. With clearing, which means basically to net off payments, you can settle the same invoices with as little as $13,000 in this example, which is then netting off about 88%. So the need for cash drops with 88% in this example. So what are the benefits then to a normal business for doing this? Of course, first of all, it's the time savings. You don't have to chase and pester your customers to get paid, which is always awkward because they're supposed to be your greatest asset. But you also don't have to sit and pay all these invoices, because we settle all the invoices, payables and receivables in bulk through the offsetting function. Then, of course, there are cost reductions as well. And that is because if you don't need as much cash, you don't need to go out and borrow money to the same extent at rising interest rates. You might not have to sell your invoices at the rising discount rate that we're seeing now. But there might be other things that you can do to cut your cost, of course, in this way. But you're also freeing up working capital. If you don't need to have all this unproductive cash in the bank account, you can, of course, use that money for better purposes. You might want to expand your sales team or invest in a new product line, or you just want to go to the beach, perhaps, but that's fine too. So I said that we want to make things obsolete, which might seem a bit cocky here, but if we look at the big industries here that we would be competing with, it's like invoice financing. It's $1 trillion industry worldwide. It's not as big here in Australia yet, but it's growing quickly. We got all the business loans, of course, the working capital loans and similar, and the overdraft functions. And then, of course, we also have the credit cards. We're used to charging people with credit cards and lose a couple of percent that way, but that wouldn't be needed if you don't actually have to make the payment. And that brings us to payments themselves. If everybody did this and offset their payments, you know, the number of transactions or payments made in Australia would drop by a magnitude of 10 or something like that. So we would also, of course, change the way payments are made themselves in the country. So this is a big idea, of course. An investment banker back in where I grew up in Sweden, he told me that this is something Elon Musk would do. And maybe that's the case, but it's a thing that's overdue. The banks have been using clearing for 250 years. The stock exchanges are doing it, and heaps of other institutions. There are trillions of dollars of institutional money going that way, and now we want to make the rest of us be able to use this service. There's a massive upside. There's in Australia, the B2B payments are $4 trillion every year, and that's what we're tapping into. So if we can offset that, then of course we would have $1 billion market, and that's just for the clearing themselves, and we've got other products lined up as part of the business. As I said, it's a proven solution. It's been around forever. The bankers in London used to figure out that they could meet in the pub and do this. It's of course hard when you are more than a couple of banks, but it's not a problem nowadays. So the timing is really good here. This big network is something that might be too hard for us to handle. So we are already exploring how to use latest computer science to analyze this through AI and machine learning, especially on the sales side, but also on this big network that nobody knows what it looks like. This network then is, the more people that join the network, the better the service for everybody. That's a network effect we're used to from Facebook, from LinkedIn, and so on. When more people join, the more fun it is there. And it's the same here. So that network effect is, of course, a struggle when you get started. But once you get going, it's your strength. It's protecting the company from any competition. Then the timing. You could have tried to launch this 10 years ago, but it would have been harder. Back then, you had your accounting under your desk. You didn't have a smartphone, and so on and so on. But now we have a situation where people are tech savvy. We have a general economic environment where the alternatives to clearing are also getting more and more expensive. We're rising interest rates, and it's hard to get your hands on cash. So timing is very important for a company to start up, and we are still a startup. So we're currently raising $500,000 on the wholesale investor platform here. We've just got the first investor to come on board last week, so we're happy with that. So we're on the way. But this money then will mean that we can take it all the way to where we need to be fully online and start scaling the business. And I hope that you will take a chance to find us out in the booth there and have a chat about it. But you can, of course, also find our pitch deck and so on the platform if you want to. All right. Thank you for the word.